Welcome to the Political Pour Up Podcast.
Grab a drink, pull up a chair. Grab a drink. This is the Political Pour Up. Because we're going to need a drink for this.
Hello, and welcome to the Political Pour Up Podcast. I'm Sue.
And I'm Jen.
And Jazz is not with us this week. She'll be back next week. She's handling some exciting things.
Yes.
So we'll let her share any good news she has when she returns.
And we'll be cheersing to that.
And we'll, yes, as we always do. So cheers to her. We'll miss her on this episode.
I thought we were actually going to cheers, but okay. You just went straight for the sip.
I'm sorry. I always do that, and then people tell me it's bad luck. I'm like, okay. So Jen and I are going to go through some of the headlines that happened this week. Like we always do, we like to talk about politics.
Yes.
And we need a cocktail as we divulge all of the details that transpired this week. So let's see. Well, first of all, because this is more a space about our connection and our just joy of talking with each other and conversating. So how was your week since the last time we got together?
I actually had a beautiful weekend.
I am so happy to hear that.
It was busy,
Do tell.
but busy with things that matter. Like Friday, one of my good girlfriends met me. Her daughter actually had like a half day. So she met us to greet my daughter as she got off the bus. Mm-hmm. And then we had like a play date. The kids had a play date and us moms sat on the deck. Then another friend joined us. Then I went to a little happy hour, which was fun but brief.
You didn't invite me.
It was in Howard County. So
you're forgiven.
But saw some old friends, and there saw some like really old friends of my parents and stuff. So it was just good. Saturday was busy, all the things, kid things. But then what happened Saturday? Because Saturday was just a really good day. I can't remember, but it was just a good weekend, spending a lot of time with family. Oh, another play date with another friend that I have known for quite a while. But another mom date and play date, which was also, it's just good right now to like get together. Community. Right? Of course, we talk politics because how can you not? Right. Literally, it's affecting
we're all,
our everyday life.
Exactly. Even if you're not, all the time politics, like watching the news, reading, like we say that all the time. It's like affecting us in ways that, where other people who were kind of tuned out, now you're forced to pay attention.
Especially right now. With the shutdown. So that was good. Sunday, we went to church. It was excellent.
Oh, bless you.
Got that good word
in person?
Yes, in person. Yes, I've been making a more concerted effort to not only just prioritize my time with God, but also just making it a priority for our family. So it was really, really good. Hubby didn't have to work, so we were all able to go in person. The kids loved it, had a great time at kids' church.
Oh, yeah. They loved it. I was like, really? I couldn't stand church.
Well, now they have all the things. Now it's
church. I had to sit in the pew. Yeah, which
we sat there.
Besides Bible study,
which was very different, I think.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, so it's very intentional now, and so the kids got to enjoy it.
Besides Sunday school, I was like, it's not Bible study. That was on Wednesdays.
Right, but same. We had Sunday school, but we also had to stay for service and sit there.
Yeah.
So, my best friend and I used to just pass notes.
Yeah.
So that was my weekend. It was really good. Like, honestly, just really, really felt like I filled my
family,
yes,
faith,
like the cup
friends.
Full.
That's all the F's you need. Fuck the other stuff. Like,
right. How was yours?
It was good. Let's see. We went to the farm. We went to the pumpkin patch.
Oh yeah. How was it?
I mean, I enjoyed it. I got all my snacks and all my goodies. I want to go apple picking soon.
Me too.
We went to was like a little fall festival. So the 5-year-old enjoyed himself.
Oh,
the 12-year-old was a little like, I'm over this.
I'm a little too old. I've aged out.
But it's okay. They're too cool. It's a really fun age to like witness. I'm like, I remember I was 12. I was probably unsufferable, like insufferable, whatever that, a pain in the ass. Whatever that,
Right.
like, yeah, he's a tween. So, yeah. So, in addition to all of the politics and like the things that are going on in the world in general, not just our country. I know America doesn't live in a bubble, but there are things going on all over that really impact our lives. In addition to that, we have families, and some of us have jobs, and things that we're volunteering doing on the side, and so
passion projects.
It's a lot. It's a lot to do, and so we just really, really need a nice, relaxing moment to ourselves, indulging in whatever it is that brings you a little comfort,
a little peace, a little comfort, a little.
And this week, we have something that.
Oh, yeah. I'm loving this. This might go down as one of my favorite cocktails we've made. So I guess it's time to chat about what we're sipping on.
We are sipping on this lovely fall take on a cosmopolitan, and instead of, so y'all know I don't drink vodka, so we're using gin, and use the gin Hendrix, and Hendrix has recently been coming up with all of these variations of their like original recipe, which is really cute. I like, Hendrix, not my all-time favorite gin, but I like some variety. I like some creativity. And the one that I used in this, I got it when we were in the Caribbean, from the duty free.
Yes, gotta hit that duty free.
I know. I live for it. The Hendrix Sunspell gin. So I think it's like got some citrus notes and spices and botanicals and stuff. So it mixes really well in a Cosmo. And the Cosmos traditionally have like Cointreau, which is an orange liqueur, as another like a staple ingredient. You could also use triple sec. But in addition to that, cranberry juice, which is a fall favorite of mine. Love cranberries.
Mine too.
And I used the cocktail because I didn't know how, like, I drink straight 100% cranberry juice, like tart and all. That might not be good in a cocktail.
It might be good in a cocktail.
Maybe I'll try it out next time. And then I just made some, because I just can't do anything regular. It has to be extra. Some hibiscus lemon sour. And topped it off with a little lemon zest, because we're zesty. But yeah, Jen likes it, so
I love it.
I'll say it's a win. What we're calling it?
We're calling this the power grab.
How appropriate. Considering this week, a lot of what we are going to talk about and, the kind of more deep dive that we're going to do, we're going to focus on how this administration and the conservatives in Congress have really been trampling over the checks and balances that are supposed to be in place to ensure that our government functions with some type of
guardrails.
For democracy, right? It's like when you driving around in the mountains. Like I hate driving on the mountains.
Me too.
Where you're like, it's like the line, and then the edge. And it's like one little bump.
Exactly.
Like, there's a little rock in the road. You go around, you're off the edge. No guardrails.
Exactly.
Like, that's what we're on. Swerving around the mountains, going nowhere very, very, very fast.
Expeditiously, as Tiara.
Expeditiously. I love my wordsmith favorite rapper.
Right.
So we're going to talk about all of the ways that has been showing up in Congress. Like, of course, we know, we discussed last week, there's a shutdown currently happening. But there are also so many other things. Some seem to be distractions from the bigger things that are happening, but it's all leading to and can be encompassed under this umbrella of usurping of power by a particular political ideology. And that is happening in all branches of government. So not just in the executive branch, but the checks and balances or the guardrails that have been in place to ensure that doesn't happen don't seem to be holding up as we expected them to. So before we get into that, a lot of the headlines this week kind of flow into that theme. But, let's take a second to kind of debrief on what we saw this week.
So we're going to dive into our headline hangovers, and that's where we each bring something from the headlines. A lot of times the headlines blur. This is when we get to talk about what we've seen in the headline and just some things that we wanted to kind of unpack. So while this one's not necessarily politics related, but very much related to our justice system, a new video emerged in the last week showing that the LSU player Kyron Lacey did not cause the fatal car crash he was arrested for. So he was accused of causing a fatal car crash last year. His attorney released new video evidence that he was 72 yards behind the accident. So in the video, you actually see the accident occur, and then I think he has like a Dodge Challenger or Charger. It's lime green. It's like several seconds before he even comes into the frame, and he swerves into the other side of traffic, it looks like to go around the accident, which had already occurred. Kyron was booked into the correctional complex on January 12, 2025 on charges of a hit and run, driving with a serious injury or death, reckless operation with accident and negligent homicide. So records show he was released on a $151,000 bond, but then sadly in April of this year, he took his life by suicide just 2 days before the grand jury hearing was set to take place.
Wow.
So, it's calling, a lot of people on social media have been calling attention to this because, a lot of people feel that the pressure of the case, which we now see in the video evidence, he is not guilty of this crime he's charged with. I'm sure. And also, where was this video evidence? You know what I mean? Like, you would think when they're conducting their initial investigation that this would have come up. And it's just sad that this weighed on him so heavily that it appears that this is why he took his life. So, however...
So this, he's a football player for LSU.
Yes, correct.
And... He was a star player, like he was like a.
I think so. I think so. Now I don't follow a black, yes, young black player with. I'm assuming LSU has a great football program, as I know, or a pretty good one.
Yeah, they're okay.
They are right. So, but enough that he had a promising future,
right?
So,
and this pretty much ruined his football career,
right? Correct.
After the crash, after he was accused of causing a fatal crash.
I mean, thankfully his attorney had vowed from the beginning. His attorney was adamant, like, he didn't do this and I'm going to prove it. I will not stop until I prove it. But my heart aches for his family,
my God.
And his friends, So, of course, Louisiana State Police then now have released their own new video disputing this. Their video, I've watched it. To me, it does not dispute these facts. It's just what they're trying to allege is that he still caused it by swerving into oncoming traffic, but he appears in the scene after the collision. So then
in a lime green car
that you cannot miss. Of course, they also released video of eyewitnesses who claim, they're in the video saying the green Charger caused all of this. He caused all of this. And so, the AG is doubling down. She's also a Republican, Liz Murrow. Released a new statement basically relying on the eyewitness testimony, so to speak.
Sure.
That everyone identified that the green Charger put this in motion. I don't know how you put something in motion when you appear on the scene after the fact.
Would this happen on a highway? Eyewitnesses?
That's what I'm trying to figure out too. I mean, it looks like it's not an intersection, but it does look like a pretty busy road.
Oh, okay.
You can see some cars coming out of like a strip mall. So there were people around. Motorists around, right? So it's just interesting that they just kind of. It just seems like they just said, he caused this, and that we're all going to say the same thing. So I wanted to get your legal expertise and opinion on what we know about eyewitness accounts and those sort of things. Oh, damn,
you put me on the spot.
I'm sorry. But,
no, it's fine. I mean...
But I feel like we know that eyewitness testimony is not very reliable. Or I don't know if there have ever been any studies into like groupthink. And how, like, once one theory is proposed...
Oh, yeah. That is... that, and, you can definitely have a expert witness if that's something that has occurred, or like the defense or whatever thinks has occurred with the witnesses that are being produced by the state. You know, you can have an a witness expert come on to try to inform the jury about like what is, you know, what could be the cause, even if that is not actually what happened, why so many people are saying that it did. I'm not is too familiar. First of all, let me say something about Louisiana in terms of their state law.
Clock it.
I mean, you know, every state has their own code, criminal code.
Correct.
Like you have to study law in Louisiana to like really know all of the nuances of its criminal code, but it is different than, and Louisiana, the way the government and the legal system there is set up is very unique to Louisiana. So you have to just study Louisiana law. So I'm not as familiar with, you know, how things work down there as the states that I am more familiar with. But usually, I mean, eyewitness testimony can be compelling, but you also have to, like with any piece of evidence, you expect the jury to be able to take everything in totality with everything that's being presented. Especially like, I mean, eyewitness testimony, if you don't have a video is one thing, but if you have a video and the eyewitness testimony is negating what is clearly in a video, then, I mean, at that point,
I guess I was disturbed and also disappointed and annoyed. No, like the fact that the state police then come out and release a video to basically try to refute this. It's like this man already took his life, you know. So honestly, I don't know. It just didn't rub me the right way, and it just struck me. And so I wanted to shine a little bit of light on that one headline. So prayers to the family, and
the team, and you know
his teammates. I can only imagine. So.
That is
the weight of feeling like, you know, they're trying to throw the book at you for something you didn't do. It's all too familiar.
It happens a lot.
All too often.
Happens with a lot of different people. There are many accounts where it has happened to Black men.
Just like the man in Chicago people. I saw recently that just
I was about to say that.
Got out. And, you know, he comes home. He's outside his mother's house. His mom passed. Like, he spent 30 years.
I was about to say, he's like in his 70s.
Yes.
He's like
in his later phase, last phase of life.
He's a senior citizen now.
Spent 30 years.
Yeah. And that's one thing. It's like a common talking point among conservatives, especially those who are very pro law enforcement and quote unquote anti, you know, criminality and things like that. They like to put forth this statistic that, you know, Black Americans only make up about 13% of the population, yet they make up over 50% of the crime or whatever, or the prison population. Prison population, which one is not totally accurate, and two, when you look at exonerations and the percentage of people who have been essentially proven to not have committed the crimes that they were accused of committing and now exonerated for those crimes, overwhelmingly are Black individuals. All right, so as we know,
it's homecoming season.
That's what I was about to say. I was like,
we're not starting with this bullshit. We're going to start with the fact that it's homecoming season, okay?
As we know, proud HBCU grads.
Okay, it's holiday. This is holiday season,
this
okay?
This is basically our
it's like our annual holiday.
It's our
shoot.
Yeah.
Carnival,
it is holiday
whatever
season.
You want to call it.
I like that. Okay, it is. It's basically American carnival,
right? For the HBCUs in particular.
Historically, Black colleges and universities have a very strong tradition of a homecoming celebration. Every year in the fall, it's going on now. Starts in September. Like most schools have them in October. A couple of schools start in September and it goes to November. Homecoming is when the alumni come
Yes.
back. There's parties, there's gatherings, there's all types of events. It's just a great opportunity. Even if you don't go to the school, you are welcome. It is a community event.
Like
South Carolina State's homecoming was last week. My mom went. They graduated a long time ago.
Oh, I didn't know your mom went to South Carolina State.
Indeed, she sure did. But this
Okay.
year, my mom was like, I don't know if we could go back. It was so many people. And the boots on the ground got 803 Fresh.
Yes.
And he filmed at South Carolina State. So
I didn't even know that.
I filmed the video, the music video for
He
that.
did it during homecoming? That's
he
so
definitely
smart.
came and I think he performed, and he's been doing a lot of promo, and like that whole video is like a promo for the university. It's like
Right.
a big deal. So, South Carolina State is lit right now.
Right.
And they just had their homecoming. It was a big turnout, a lot of people, probably a lot of people that didn't go to the school, but that's okay.
That's okay.
Last time we went to homecoming, it was a lot of people that did not go to
Yeah.
Spelman and Morehouse, but that's okay. The crowds are bigger. And now this year, a group of individuals who were not invited to the cookout, let me tell you.
Leave us alone. Leave
assure
us
you.
alone.
So Turning Point USA, which is the late Charlie Kirk's organization, which he led, there's a group called Blexit, which is basically their black quota of individuals.
I love that. That black quota.
Have gotten, it's like the black exit from the Democrat Party, or because so many black Americans vote
Tend to vote
Democratic.
Democratic.
Yeah, and it's like, it's fine if you want to be conservative. Black people are not a monolith, and that's fine. We don't have to,
Right.
engage in like pleasantries about politics. We're not going to agree.
Right.
Fine.
You
wanna
are
have
free
your,
to-
your Blexit parties over there. Fine. Don't bring that bullshit over
Don't
here.
bring that bullshit to homecoming
Which is
now.
what they want. They are doing now.
And it's really pissing me off.
They are bringing this tour called, what do they call
What
it?
are they calling this tour?
Educate to Liberate.
Educate to Liberate.
The tour that they are taking to 10 HBCUs.
And I can't believe they're going to some very prominent HBCUs.
They're going to
too.
Howard and Hampton. They ain't going to CAU.
They not going down to the AUC. Let's just be clear.
That weekend, the weekend of the AUC, or the at least Spelman Morehouse homecoming, is the weekend they're going to Tennessee State.
FAMU, I'm
and
I'm still shocked.
I mean, that's Tallahassee. And FAMU's new president is MAGA, the new black lady.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes. Marla, something with an M. She looked like it too. She looks like...
MAGA got a look now.
They do. And she is the black version of the MAGA with the makeup and the hair.
And the terrible eyeliner.
Yeah. I'm just like, oh God. Her and Winsome
Yeah,
Sears.
but they're going where else? Okay, let's read it off. So they'll be attending.
So
they'll
week,
be visiting 10 HBCUs.
They've been to Alabama State, Johnson C. Smith.
Mm-hmm.
This weekend they'll be at Jackson State. Next weekend they're at Tennessee State. They're at FAMU. They're going to be at North Carolina Central. The week after, as well as Howard University and Hampton University. Howard and Hampton got their homecomings on the same week.
You got to choose which one is the real HU.
The real HU, which one? Bowie State and Lincoln University in Pennsylvania. So yeah, so it's really funny because I heard this and I'm like, yes, we all understand the mission that Charlie Kirk built for Turning Point was really, and where they got a lot of these kind of viral moments and where they got a lot of college students coming on board and building that youth support system for Trump came from college campuses.
Yeah, take their old ass on.
And it came from, the debate, or like the friendly debates that he would have.
Right.
On college campuses, which in terms of his debate style, while people want to frame it as more friendly, I feel like it was more combative.
Absolutely.
Like the whole tour, or the whole premise of his being on campus was prove me wrong. That does not invite friendly debate.
It doesn't.
Friendly an argument, so to say. That invites animosity and hostility from the jump. So
he wasn't seeking understanding.
He wasn't. He
was not there for a conversation. And he was there to have an audience while he spewed some of the most hateful and film
because that's what got the people riled up.
And to do it in front of an audience.
Sure.
Because it furthered their cause, which we know influences policy.
Yeah.
So there are real consequences to this, to entertaining these types of, I don't know what you want to call them.
Beliefs.
Yeah.
And these are some of the same beliefs that the individuals who will be coming to the HBCU campuses hope to engage. It's like, I don't even know what the point is. It's like, what are they going to do?
Is this a recruitment effort? I'm confused. Like what?
That's what it says. It says a recruitment. It says something like, educate to liberate.
Educate to liberate.
And this is, let's talk about who these people are, because one thing that you really...
Because wasn't Blexit founded by Candace Owens?
Yes, Candace Owens, who did not attend an HBCU and actually was, like, back in the day, she sued someone or some entity for discriminating against her because she was a Black woman, and the NAACP helped her out with the case or whatever.
Right.
So she was, like, awarded for discrimination, like, because she was discriminated against, and now actively seeks to undermine civil rights laws. And
right. So when it was beneficial to you, you took advantage.
Mm-hmm.
You used the NAACP and whatever resources from the Black community that were available to you.
Check.
But now that it's no longer...
Now that white people are paying you to be there.
Pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Blexit was founded by Candace Owens and a bunch of these other Black conservatives, none of whom went to HBCUs or even appear to have been influenced by a surrounding community of HBCUs.
Correct. So my question is, this obsession over Black culture to which you do not identify with.
Exactly.
Why?
Leave us alone.
Leave us alone. Go debate at University of Maryland, or go debate at University of whatever.
They go to some of those rural colleges.
Well, that's fine, but my main point, which is, I think there's a sick obsession. And again, it's just unfortunate that the very people who seek to undermine, these institutions and our HBCUs, because I really do think that this effort, it's more than just about the conversation. I think there's an undermining of a safe space to which HBCUs provide to us. And
which they can't understand.
Which they don't understand.
Because they don't want to, and because they haven't had the privilege of being a student at one.
Nor would they ever choose to.
Exactly. Which is fine. Plenty of people do not.
But take your shit over there.
Right.
Like
essentially, yes.
When you choose to attend a HBCU, you are making a very, not only personal, but also political, this is a choice to attend a university in which is so paramount to Black progress in this country and Black resistance. Right. And so to come here and to use it to further this right-wing ideology, I just think, and to kind of undermine everything that HBCUs are to their students and their families and their alumni, it's just disgusting, and it's disrespectful. It's infuriating.
So the headliners from this tour, so to speak, are Stephen Davis, not the Stephen Davis that used to play for the Redskins. It's another Black guy. He tries to look like he's likens himself to like a Black Hulk. He's like very buff and like he's like a bodybuilder. Like, that's fine. Yeah, I mean, I won't ask questions. I don't care. But he did not attend the HBCU. According to his Facebook page, he went to La Sierra University. I think it's somewhere in California. Anthony Watson, not the Anthony Watson, UK or the English rugby player who is quite fine, if I might say so myself. This particular Anthony Watson is a Winter Olympian as the first Jamaican to compete in the skeleton competition, where it's like you go down and it's like Winter Olympics. Like, it's kind of like the bobsled, but it's just you, and you just shoot. I don't know. Whatever. So he competed in the Winter Olympics at some point. No record of any college education that I could find on Beyonce's internet. Topher, who is a rapper from Mississippi, who is an Air Force veteran, thank you for your service, but also could not find any affiliation or studying at any university in these United States. Savannah Craven, who might be my favorite. I'm going to save her for last. Let's go to Brandon Tatum, who didn't graduate, or he went to the University of Arizona and was a football player and entered the draft, went undrafted, and then decided to become an Arizona state police officer. So his background is in law enforcement. And even though he did attend college, it was not an HBCU. Now, going back to Savannah Craven, who I can't understand for the life of me why she wants to set foot on an HBCU campus after getting the shit punched out of her on the streets of New York when she was trying to disrespectfully argue with a Black New York woman walking down the street, minding her business, and decided to start an argument with her about abortion and basically called her a baby killer. And the girl punched her in her face because this is Harlem, bitch. You're not going to try that shit over here.
Like, don't bring that over here.
She was like, of course, you're the victim.
Now I'm the victim. Oh,
you know, it's the shit that they always do.
And that's the concern, is that they're not there to educate, they're there to agitate.
Exactly.
They're there
because now
to
she's
agitate.
The victim. It's like, you literally argue with this girl for a while, and everybody's like, oh, she's always so respectful. I was like, that's not respectful to me. Like, you wouldn't let her talk, and some people just don't play that shit. Like,
right. Especially in New York. You in Harlem, girl?
Right. And now everyone is upset because the girl got off. Alvin Bragg has declined to continue the charge against her for assault or whatever. And now she's upset, or Savannah is upset. But the only college that I could attribute to her background is Delaware County Community College. Again, not an HBCU. So these individuals, while they are Black Americans. No one is denying their ethnicity. And again, Black people are not a monolith. But at the same time, HBCUs, as Jen just said, are a very culturally rich and educationally enhancing institution for Black, and not just Black students, anyone who wants to attend and get a more enriching experience. And one thing that HBCUs do is teach you your history.
I was just going to say
and
that. Girl, you remember that African diaspora in the world seminar?
That you have to take that for
the whole first year, baby.
And, whether or not we come out on the other end wanting to be conservatives or liberals or, independents or whatever, that has nothing to do with whatever they are talking about, because they want to de-educate and negate everything that we've already learned. And
ignore the history.
Ignore the history or skew it to whatever narrative that they want to. But we know our history. You can't come on HBCU campuses and tell us no bullshit and just think that people are going to go along with it. You might get punched in the face.
You might.
Or stomp. It's like, don't get in front of the accused now.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just saying, it's just like, it's like, if you're really looking for a conversation, just like with Charlie Kirk, it's like, it shouldn't be labeled, prove me wrong. It should be labeled like, can we talk?
Right.
About this. I want to know why you feel that way about our criminal justice system.
Right.
I want to know why you feel that way about abortion policy. Not baby killer, and then cry victim when somebody punches your ass in the face.
Right, because you're disrespectful. Yeah, it's just unfortunate. I hate it for our HBCUs, especially during homecoming of all times.
Right.
of all
They
times.
don't let them steal your joy.
Please
don't engage with them.
That was what I was gonna say. I think the message is just don't engage. Don't give them the show that they're looking for, because that's all these folks are about.
Indeed. So, in other news, in South Carolina, a judge who had previously ruled against the Trump administration, Carolina Circuit Court Judge Diane Goodstein, back in September, she issued a ruling against the DOJ. The Department of Justice had requested that South Carolina turn over 3.3 million voters' information, including names, addresses, birthdays, social security numbers, or the last 4 digits of their social security numbers, driver's license number, all of that information over to the federal government. Their argument was because they want to compare that information against like voter information that they had to determine if people who were here illegally were voting in elections or whatever. God knows what the hell they actually want to do with that information, which is all the information that you could really use to just more closely surveil people or just, fuck up all of their shit or do more investigating into like their social media usage, all types of stuff that the government could do with that information. And so the Judge Diane Goodstein said no. The Supreme Court ended up overturning that decision. The South Carolina Supreme Court now has a conservative majority, and since then, the judge in question, her house is a beach house in Modesto Beach, like right on the marsh area of the water. It's a very kind of exclusive area. A lot of nice houses over there. Blew up. And like surveillance has the entire house like blazing up in flames.
It's all over social media.
The house is now like
it's awful.
Disintegrated. Apparently at the time the judge was out on the beach walking her dog, so was not in the house at the time. But
thank goodness, because was this really an attempted murder?
Well, we don't know. Her husband was at the house at the time and was able to escape, as was her son and her grandson. They were all in the house. They were able to escape through or they jumped out of a higher story window. Her husband's like 80 years old. So, of course, jumping out of a window, he suffered some injury. The husband, by the way, is Arnold Goodstein, who is a former Democratic state lawmaker and since retired, as he is in his 80s. Hint, hint. So they escaped, and so they suffered injuries, but no one was killed in this fire. And so, of course, people are speculating that this might have been a politically motivated attack, considering that she ruled against the administration's ask for, several, like millions of voter records from South Carolina. And even the governor of South Carolina made a statement saying that her decision was just flat out wrong and that the Supreme Court, of course, he petitioned the Supreme Court to overturn her decision, which they did. And now SLED, which is the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, which pretty much handles like the more higher profile law enforcement activities in the state. Like there are local police who could handle an investigation, but SLED pretty much takes over when there are very, very high-profile investigations. And they have since ruled that there was no evidence of arson. There were no signs of a pre-fire explosion, which I can't find the video, but I could swore I heard people talking about how they heard an explosion before they saw the house go up in flames. I haven't been able to verify that by, again, eyewitness accounts of people who were just out and about. But they said that SLED said there was no evidence of a pre-fire explosion. They are attributing the fire now to a domestic accident, whatever the hell that means to them. So TBD on whether this is something that was, in fact, just an accident or something that was more nefarious. Now, I will mention that SLED is, as a lot of law enforcement divisions, there have been discrepancies in their history of investigations. SLED was the entity that was investigating all of the Murdaugh murders that happened, and you can find a documentary on literally every single streaming site to speak to the Murdaugh murders. And SLED was right there, and there were, there are always opportunities for things to go missing, for people to be relieved of any wrongdoing, things to be covered up because certain people ask you to cover up said things. I'm not saying it's a conspiracy. Let's all wait and see if something more comes out of the investigation, as this is a very preliminary exoneration of no arson.
Since they have found no arson and no signs of a pre-fire explosion, will there be a further investigation, or does this kind of close out their investigation?
I mean, I think that they still have to determine what caused the fire, and this just happened a couple of days ago, so I think that would take more investigating.
Right.
And also looking into more of the context of the environment of when this happened. The judge, after she ruled against the administration, had been receiving a lot of threats, as a lot of judges are, who are standing up against the administration and making rulings that actually follow the law.
Actually, they're doing their
job. So they are being threatened. Them and their families are being threatened. And it, I think it's preliminary to say that it was not arson or that it was arson. But there's a lot, it's just a very strong coincidence that this happened to a judge who had just ruled against the administration, and then also you have people in the administration just tweeting away about how the judges on the left, and I will give you a direct quote here. There is a large and growing movement of left-wing terrorism in this country. It is well organized and funded, and it is shielded by far-left Democrat judges, prosecutors, and attorney general. The only remedy is to use legitimate state power to dismantle terrorism and terror networks. An individual, a very high-ranking individual in the administration, made that tweet. I won't say his name because I don't want to burst into flames, but there you go. And that just happened a couple of days before this judge's house went up in flames, and there have been Democratic lawmakers coming out and calling out this rhetoric, which is on full display on social media, saying that it's all the left. And it's the judges, and they are terrorists. This is an investigation that's going to be ongoing, but it's very unfortunate that the judges that are actually standing up and making those decisions to preserve not just democracy, but the rule of law, because that's what you do as a lawyer and a judge, regardless of what your party is. They are, being threatened. It's not the first time we've seen in, the past few years, judges being threatened and their families being threatened. It's a very scary time to be a judge these days. I used to want to be a judge. I'm not. I'd rather be, I'd rather work at McDonald's. It's at least I'll be safe. It's no. But it's very scary, but also, we appreciate those people who are standing up and doing what they believe is right, is the forms of resistance that we all need in
Yes.
In this moment. So.
Yes, because they should be able to perform their duties and their functions without fear of political prosecution or coercion or some sort of political violence and retaliation. Like, when you become an attorney or a judge, you take an oath to uphold the law, not just what is favorable for a certain administration.
Right.
Or political party.
Right. Because you're oblivious to that. Like, you're supposed
this is not a partisan job. These are not partisan jobs. Mm-hmm. Just because
traditionally they have not
identify with a certain political party. However, when you are in your function or functioning, within your role as a officer of the court, you absolutely are supposed to be doing that independent of political influence.
Yep. And that kind of segues very well, because we're talking about judges who are holding the line, but going into, the checks and balances that just ain't checking and balancing.
They ain't checking and balancing. The checks ain't balancing. Balances ain't checking and they ain't balancing.
They not. Much like my own checkbook, but we're not here to talk about that. We are here to talk
about checking nor balancing, okay?
There are no checks or balances. This just YOLO.
You know what? Right. Because, I feel like that's the thing. We just out here.
Yeah. So the administration, the president and the executive branch, the attorney general, the DOJ, congressional conservatives, all working in tandem to usurp the power of all of the branches of government and the overreach of power by those of a certain ideology who just want to take over everything, which in, the long and short of it is essentially a authoritarian government when one ideology or one person, essentially in this instance, the president, wants to absolve themselves and the people who agree with them, and everybody else is wrong, and everyone who is wrong should be silenced, imprisoned, stripped away of any rights. That's the road that we're headed down. And while American democracy does have some mechanisms in place to prevent us from getting there, it seems like those things are becoming weaker by the day. So I don't know. Where do we start? Do you want to start with like the most aggressive and egregious, saying the quiet part out loud, or the part that you're not supposed to say? Because first of all,
we're not supposed to say that.
So what happened?
So what is he? An advisor to the White House?
He's the deputy. I think he's the deputy chief of staff.
Okay, the deputy chief of staff to the White House. Yeah. Was giving an interview to CNN earlier this week when asked basically if the administration would abide by a U.S. District Court's ruling temporarily blocking the deployment of the National Guard troops to Portland.
Which they have already...
Which they circumvented anyway.
Yes,
by,
they have already
pulling them from another state. But in answering the question, he began his statement by saying, basically under Title 10 of the U.S. Code, the president has plenary authority. And then abruptly stopped it. So plenary authority, the term plenary power, after all, refers to complete power over a particular area with no limitations. So literally this person is on live TV being broadcast by CNN.
This
He
is
says
in
this.
The code. It's in the federal code. He said
He's
it's
trying to say
Section 10.
that.
Well, let's look up.
I know. Let's actually look that up.
Of the
Come on.
US
Stat Bay isn't here, but Stat Bay, we're going to do what you would do. Google AI tells us that Title 10 of the U.S. Code is known as the Armed Forces and provides the legal basis for the roles, mission, and organization of the United States Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, Space Force, and the reserve components. It outlines the authority and responsibilities for federal military service.
Oh, sorry.
And its laws apply to active duty and reserve members when on federal orders.
Okay, so basically Title 10 is explaining what the executive branch, the authority the executive branch has over the U.S. military. So plenary authority would mean that
whatever president
wants to do with the military,
he can do.
Which I think is a very liberal interpretation of
absolutely
of a statute of that nature. Because yes, we already know that because the president is the commander in chief. Like, yes, he has the ability, but they take statutes and read them as they want them to mean, not so much as the court has and like there might not even be precedent, there might not even be court cases to explain. That's why sometimes
we
our laws
are
so
a precedent setting time.
We probably in this instance, but not being well versed in armed services case law, I have no idea what the law says about the specific presidential authority, as in because I think one thing that's like really the issue within people who are serving in the military now is if you have the commander in chief, if they are giving you an order that is against the law, it's unconstitutional,
right.
But it's also against just federal and state law. Are you supposed to follow those orders?
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly cannot think of a situation where a president has given its military a command that is unlawful. Like that would be the authoritarian dystopia that we all know that we're hurtling towards, like already happening in real life. We would be there. If this had happened in the past, we would know about it. It's just not something. So there is probably not a court case on it.
Yeah.
And, Stephen Miller is, or I said his name.
This individual.
The person who we're talking about, he's the founder of America First Legal, and they just go to great lengths to stretch the law to fit whatever narrative it is that they are arguing. And sometimes there is no case law to rebut what their interpretation of the law.
Yeah.
Because when Congress passes laws, sometimes they leave room for interpretation. And usually the interpretation comes through with the executive branch and the rulemaking that the agencies do, because they are the authority, or they are the experts that can really define what those laws should mean. If you make a law about food safety, you rely on like the FDA to further make rules delineating what exactly people can do, what would be included in the law. Now, last Supreme Court session, which is where we get into the courts weakening these guardrails that we have on democracy, but essentially the authority that executive agencies had to rule make based on their own expertise was significantly stripped away. So basically, in the past, a Supreme Court case that was decided in the 80s, it was the Chevron, the gas company or whatever. We got the Chevron doctrine is something that they teach. Well, they used to teach in law school. I have no idea what they teach now. But the Chevron doctrine basically allowed agencies to use their best judgment based on what they know about the subject matter and what Congress said about what they wanted to do with the law. And if the agency said that, this is the best rule or the best course of action to take, that it was lawful for them to be able to do that. And Chevron was essentially overturned, which a lot of precedent is getting overturned these days by this conservative supermajority Supreme Court. And basically now the agencies just have less authority to rule make based on their expertise. So whatever Congress, whatever the statute says, can be interpreted by whoever is interpreting it. The administration can say, look, this means this. Plenary authority means I can do whatever the fuck I want without forces, the military, or without the military, rule-making apparatus, whoever, does the rule-making for the armed services, coming out and say, no, that's not what Congress meant. And then you go to the Supreme Court, and we all know what happens then. Well, I mean, maybe we don't. I don't know.
I was gonna say,
but
do we
with the conservative majority that's siding with the conservative agenda?
Agenda, correct.
90% of the time, who knows?
Mm-hmm.
We don't know. So plenary authority is probably something that nobody really knows what it means in practice, because it's never been something that is probably been in practice,
right?
And
because the way democracy is set up is so that this would not even be a topic, because it's designed so that that plenary authority cannot flourish in a democracy. It's not supposed to. Yeah. So that's why this is a novel term, so to speak.
A check on said interpretation could be Congress looking into, if you don't have a judicial record or case law that sets a precedent for what this actually means. One place that you could look to is the congressional record when they implemented this statute as to what it meant. Right. Did it really mean the president could do whatever the fuck he wants?
No.
Probably not. I don't know. I don't even know when that particular part of the U.S. Code was passed, but I would venture to guess that the president at the time was not interested in,
using our cities
as was not interested in the president having complete and total power to do with the military whatever he wanted to do. Right. And that's what this might be suggesting. Now, tell us what happened after the word plenary authority was mentioned by this individual, because that shit in itself was the funniest part.
So the funny of it all is that after he says, well, Section 10 of the U.S. Code gives him plenary authority, he just completely stops talking abruptly and is sitting there silent. He's standing silent on live TV. The news anchor is...
Okay, let's reenact. Okay, we gotta do it.
Okay.
You be the news anchor. Okay. I'll be Voldemort. Okay.
All right. So...
the president has, according to Title 10 of the U.S. Code, the president has plenary authority to...
Sue? Are you there? She's blinking, but she's not talking. Okay, so I think we're having technical issues. We'll have to work those out and come back after the commercial break. Are you fucking kidding me?
He's sitting there blinking.
And then it's like, oh, you glitched. Not the technology,
right.
You glitched.
I wasn't supposed
to say that part. But,
Well, we know now. We know what they're looking for. And so now all of the Probably every legal scholar is going back to the books trying to figure out what this
Where is
means.
plenary authority? Okay.
Yeah.
And also, so they went to a commercial break. They come back from the commercial break. He doesn't mention plenary authority, but says something to the same effect, essentially, that he was making the point that under federal law, again, this section or Title 10 of the U.S. Code, the president has the authority anytime he believes federal resources are insufficient to federalize the National Guard to carry out a mission necessary for public safety. So again, these comments have raised several eyebrows.
Well, that's just martial law.
Yeah, which
essentially.
I think we're going to get to that issue a little bit later, which one of his own appointed judges points out. It's just basically, he got caught saying the quiet part out loud and just revealing the, authoritarian agenda that this administration has adopted, which...
But don't you dare call us Nazis or
don't you
authoritarians.
The rhetoric has to stop. So that was that. It was quite funny.
So we all know what their what
alarming.
their end goal is, which, if you didn't before, like he literally said it out loud.
So again, with this same theme of just like the power grab, as we know, Trump is like, even with the shutdown, he's been using that as an excuse to say that, oh, well, we're going to have to eliminate several jobs if they don't come to the table, and it'll be the Democrats' fault. You don't have to do that. We've had several shutdowns before. Now they're even saying that. Now I saw that they're trying to come up with the basis that says, actually, we don't have to pay them back pay.
It would be because it would be the Democrats' fault if you don't get
fault. And actually, that's not what the law says. That's unlawful.
You have to back pay.
However, this is, again, in line with this complete, like we said, usurp of norms, traditions, laws,
well, he
the
also
Constitution.
Doesn't pay his legal bill, so he doesn't think anybody should get paid.
So again, with Congress, so a lot of pundits, political, I guess, commentators have been making sort of these comments sharing the opinion that Congress is relinquishing its authority, so to speak, to the executive. And I will say that, and a lot of people feel that that's why, Dems are trying to hold the line, because this is one of their last bargaining chips and recourses that they have with the shutdown. Because otherwise, it appears as though the Republicans in Congress are just doing whatever the president wants them to do, even to the detriment of ordinary Americans like you and I.
With the exception of one estranged individual. Now she's like a child scorn. Like, we keep talking about her being a broken clock. But Marjorie Taylor Greene is like, she coming out in defense of Gaza. She's coming out in defense of the Epstein files. Now she's like breaking ranks with her party.
Congress has the power of the purse. Yet Donald Trump continues to circumvent Congress's power. And as we've seen earlier this year, even, he's making drastic cuts to government spending. He started with DOGE.
Exactly.
Massive layoffs, rescinding federal funding for departments and programs like public schools, public media, all the things, research grants, for instance, how he tried to shake down Harvard, and Harvard respectfully said, get the hell out of here with your demands. Expeditiously, right. And essentially, the Republican Congress is doing nothing to stop him.
Right. It's like, this is money that they have already allocated. They have spent because it is within their authority. The executive branch just cuts the check. The Office of Budget and Management, or like whoever the accountant entity is that cuts the check, it's not supposed to be a middleman. It's just like, this is the money.
This is where it goes.
They are stopping it from the checks from going out, essentially, for money that has been lawfully allocated by Congress.
So the White House press secretary is claiming that the administration is planning to use millions of dollars in tariff revenue to tie over a critical nutrition program for low-income moms and babies during the government shutdown. Can we say performa-fucking-tive? Because how dare you stand up there and pretend like you care about working and poor families, and in the midst of this Democratic shutdown, President Trump's administration is not going to let these people go without food. So we're going to use our tariff revenues to tide over nutrition programs for these families. If you really gave a fuck about people who were struggling and who had food insecurity, you wouldn't be trying to literally slash billions of dollars from SNAP benefits. The list goes on. And I'm just like, they are so performative. I really, like, at what point
then what is, like, to say that it sounds all nice and everything coming from the white girl behind the podium, but the fact that that is impossible to do during a government shutdown for people who don't already have these. And yet last week we talked about the things that were going to be
impacted by the shutdown and things that would continue.
This already exists.
Correct.
It's not that the Democrats are saying, we're stopping funding for this particular program. A program of this nature cannot be executed if the government is shut down. There is no way for you to get this funding, to
take this revenue.
But saying it is enough to make people believe that you're putting it into practice. And that's all. Like when the president said something like, we're going to make IVF free for everybody, or some dumbass shit he said.
Say that.
Turns out that what they're actually doing is far from that. What they are doing is promoting a campaign of this concept that somebody just brain farted and came up with of natural fertility treatment, which is literally the same shit that your primary care doctor would tell you to do if you were trying to get pregnant, is like their answer to fertility treatment. It's like it's so far removed from reality that they think that they can just say these things, and that's where it's not just like having an uneducated public, but a public that will believe like literally anything you say. And I feel like most people, even if they are supporters of the president, are not there. It's like they're still going to fact check at least some of the stuff. And it's like the people who are going to be most impacted. We've said before about how most of the people who are on government welfare programs are white people, not people of color. And that includes SNAP and WIC and all of the things that you would need government assistance for. Those are the people who are going to be suffering the most if those programs are not able to get the funding out to people. So by saying it doesn't mean that it magically comes true. Right. So, I mean, she could sit up there and she does a lot of lying. But it's
that's what I mean. They wake up every day and they lie. But
and she's been able to do it with a straight face for like 9 months. Yeah. So she's lasted more than any of the predecessors before her, I think.
And also, like, you would not be able to implement that without Congress.
Well, yeah, that part. Because you essentially don't have any funding to give out because it comes from Congress.
That part.
And that's literally why we're in a shutdown, because Congress cannot come to a consensus on how government money should be spent.
Exactly. So anyway, just a lot.
So Congress also is not doing their job, not paying their bills, not allocating tax money in the way that is in the interest of Americans in general. And the fight has largely been about healthcare and these healthcare.
And by healthcare, we don't mean giving illegal immigrants healthcare,
which they do not.
which they cannot.
They're not qualified to receive in the first place.
By healthcare, we mean trying to extend the ACA
subsidies,
tax
subsidies
that make
people
a lot of the healthcare plans that people are paying into and purchasing affordable. Because we're talking about differences of $500 premiums and $2,000 premiums.
Yes.
So
they will quadruple.
That's what
like in real, like yes, and even some of the most staunchest MAGA supporters have realized that
this actually
this affects me.
Right.
But yes, it shouldn't matter because it only affects you or your children who are also adults, but it should matter because it affects the American people in mass, those who get their health insurance from the Affordable Care Act. And essentially what the Affordable Care Act was set out to do was make health insurance accessible and affordable. And it's like, oh, well, if we can't get rid of the Affordable Care Act, like as a statute, we're just going to gut it, which is the same thing they're doing to the Voting Rights Act. It's like, if we can't get rid of the Voting Rights Act, we're going to slowly chip away at the things that make it functional. And that's what they're doing with the Affordable Care Act. Which is sad because a lot of people, if this does not get rectified soon, will be without health care come January 1st.
And people will die.
Right.
Let's just be clear.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want someone to be able to get health care? That should be just a civil right to all of us.
I mean, they didn't want it. They didn't want it during Obama tried to get it the first time.
They didn't. And it's not like we have universal health care. We're just talking about trying to make it a little bit affordable so that more people can be insured.
Right. Because it's still $500 a month.
Hello?
It's still expensive. Even with a job, it's like, if you look at your pay stub sometimes, it doesn't, you don't really notice how much that shit costs.
Yes.
But you pay, like, the average working American
with a family plan is paying at least $500.
And that's with the employer paying the majority of it. Now, some employers cover the whole healthcare cost. But that's why you really got to look at the benefits when you apply for jobs.
That's why I'm on my husband's insurance, because he worked for the federal government.
Right.
But even that.
And you're like, if you actually look at some of these bills, you'll be like, who the fuck is paying that? And
that's what I
the
mean.
people without health insurance.
And then imagine all the people who work for small businesses or, these minimum wage jobs. Yeah. And, your employers are not able to provide they're offering you a plan, but that doesn't mean it necessarily is a great plan.
Yeah.
So
it's a clusterfuck all around.
Yeah. Period.
In addition to them not being able to stand on their own business and spend the money and make sure the money is spent in the way that they allocated it, they also have the authority to request information and request that members of the executive branch report to them on what the fuck they're doing.
Correct.
And even though they've asked these individuals to come and share with us what's going on over there in your agency, the people who are in the cabinet and just come over there and treat it like it's a fucking it's a joke.
Like it's a joke, like it's optional.
It's
they're correct. Like they really don't have to answer to Congress at all, which it was on display recently. Correct. So earlier this week, when Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, was brought before the Judiciary Committee for the first time since her confirmation hearing, so that Democrats could question her on the ways in which the president might be using the Justice Department to prosecute perceived political foes, which we know, James Comey.
Which he is literally truthed on his social media account that he plans to do, but that can't be evidence.
Right. And when I say I watch, because as people who listen know, I tend to just listen to the news kind of all day long, but I try to turn it off sometimes, but I can't help it.
It's just background noise.
This I eventually had to turn off because it was the most aggravating, annoying waste of time. And I can only imagine if I was actually on the oversight committee, how annoyed I would feel at the waste of time. I've never seen someone get up there and just so flippantly make a mockery out of the procedure. There was no attempt to actually answer any questions. Any time that they tried to pin her down on a topic and get her to answer a straight question to which she has the knowledge to answer, she would simply just reply with the same sort of rhetoric and talking points about Democrats, like the same conspiracy theories, the same turn it back on them, bring up something that might be in question on the far right wing internet, which none of it would have anything to do with what they were actually there for.
Exactly.
So, I mean, it was just ridiculous. Like I remember one time, I think it was Senator Adam Schiff of California was asking her some questions, and she literally was like, "Did you apologize to Donald Trump when you said blah, blah, blah?" And I was like,
"Bitch, we're not talking about me.
We're not talking about that." And then if she wasn't doing that, then she was kicking everything back to Kash Patel. Like, okay, well, I'll let the director of the FBI answer. And they were like, but they report to you.
He's turning out to be their little brown punching bag.
He is. And they're like, but he reports to you, so surely you can just answer this question. Like, surely you can, you should be able to answer this. So, and she was very combative. So, like, I hate to say this, but you know the stereotypes, like the reasons why certain men couldn't vote for Kamala is what I saw from her. Like, to me, there was no ability to just be objective, sit there and hold this hearing.
Being too emotional?
Very, very emotional. Very, how dare you talk to me and question me? And I was like, girl, just answer the question. Like, you can answer the question without...
Thanks for setting us back another 20 years, bitch.
I was looking like this, and as I'm sitting there, I'm like, this is exactly why people don't think women are equipped to lead. Foolishly, I don't agree with those sentiments, but you here in this hearing, you are every stereotype that they think that women are when they are in leadership, because you should be able to get up there and objectively answer the question, or there's at least a professional way to not answer the question.
Right.
But the show in which
you're
she put
resorting
on was just
to
so embarrassing.
A spectacle.
It was
like
a emotionally charged spectacle, combative spectacle. I couldn't take it any longer. I did watch the exchange. I watched a few, and I had wished, we know our good sis, Jasmine Crockett, is not in the Senate. She's in the House. But I was like, man, Jasmine would be the only person time enough for her ass in this case. And I had wished, and then I know our good sis Angela is also not on that committee.
Yeah, she's not on that committee, there. But yeah.
And I had just wished that there had been someone who was time enough for the antics that she was pulling.
But a pushback of sorts to remind the individual that their job is to report to this body.
Exactly.
They are being called here to report on things that
are within their purview,
part and parcel to their privilege of serving in that capacity. Now, if you don't want to do that, then maybe you should be relieved of your duties as Attorney General. But we have not heard that, and that's another thing. It's like, we hear, like, especially with the shutdown, we've heard a lot more aggressive pushback from Democrats, which is, refreshing. But you also still have some of the older members of the Democratic Party still trying to play the game, or still trying to play, or still trying to go about business as it has usually been done. I can't remember the last time an AG came before Congress and said some of the shit that they said to him in the most disrespectful manner.
Super.
And it's like, you really gonna sit there and let her talk to you like that?
That was the thing. Like I don't know.
We are, because
I don't know if we were tiptoeing because she was, because the gender dynamic.
Right. And
this behavior from anyone is outrageous. So put aside
what are we missing here? Like, there has to be something that we're missing.
The whole thing was giving, it's a big waste of time.
Yeah.
However, this is what Congress is supposed to do. So you have to have the proceedings, but it feels pointless when you have these cabinet members who just, and they're emboldened by the president. So they feel like that's the thing. So they feel like I don't, and then she gets up there just to reiterate the same talking points. And I was like, you're going to get
Basically,
your cookie
she
from
got
the
up
president
there and
when
was
you're
like,
done.
Try me, bitch.
You're
y'all not going to do nothing.
And I'm going to get my cookie from the president is what it was giving.
Yeah. So if Congress does not grow or at least of course, there were members of the Republican Party on the Judiciary Committee as well. So it's like there's a balance
I saw
to
Lindsey
that.
Graham. He was fussing about something, but I couldn't.
He's always fussy.
And if it was even
just
important
about anything. In addition to Congress, just relinquishing the power that they have over oversight, over the budget. They won't, it's coming down to them not even, and this is coming from the leadership, the majority party leadership, not even swearing in a duly elected member of their own body.
Oh my gosh.
So there was a special election in Arizona, and from the special election, Representative Adelita Gravalda was elected to serve in Congress in Arizona. It was at the end of September, so like a couple weeks ago. Usually the swearing-in process, especially for a special election, happens pretty immediately. Fortunately, the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, has declined to swear in this new representative from Arizona who is a Democrat, and it is assumed that she would be the determining the vote that determines whether a discharge petition that is happening in the House goes through, because once she is sworn in, she will be the final vote, the last vote that they need to have a discharge petition to force the Department of Justice to hand over all of the Epstein files. Not just the couple hundreds of documents that or thousands of documents that they already have that have already been in, because it's like, well, we already released the Epstein files. It's like, no, what you already released, we already knew that.
Right.
But there are millions of documents Congress wants to get a hold of, and 4 Republicans have already crossed over and signed it, and they just need one more signature, and Representative Adelita Gravalda from Arizona could be that final signature, but she has to get sworn in first. And mind you, she was elected before the government shut down. The government shut down on October 1st. She was elected on, September 24th? So there was opportunity to swear her in before the government shut down. But now Mike Johnson is saying, oh, well, we cannot swear her in because the Democrats shut down the government, which is false. There is no, precedent to suggest that a swearing in cannot occur when the government is shut down, because Congress is still very much working. They're actively voting to reopen the government. They have not been successful yet, but they are still very much working and getting paid. So therefore, Johnson can swear in the representative whenever he wants. And, she is now, the people of Arizona are going, or the people in this district in Arizona are going that much longer without representation in Congress, especially during a government shutdown. It's like, not only is she going to, cast a vote one way or another, we don't know how she's going to vote, we assume, but this discharge petition, but would also be voting to reopen the government or continue, or on whatever funding is passed through government.
Important measures that affect her constituents.
Exactly. And these people in Arizona, they voted.
Again, the theme is they don't want to govern.
Right. and they want to be a roadblock to anything that will not happen in their favor. If it looks like it might be adverse to what they are trying to do, they're going to try to stop it, even if it is unlawful. So that is just another sidebar to what is actually happening in the Congress with it. So it's there's so much to pay attention to.
People do
but
not deserve your vote.
No, well, yes.
You want to vote for people who actually want to govern and who actually want to pass laws that are in your best interests. But again, you have to come to the table and be willing to govern. This is not about governing. This is not about making America better. This is about a power grab, hence the name of the fucking drink tonight. Because
I still have some left. Jen is
I can't help it.
And I'm not making her no more. One area where the people always have the power is the ability to vote. And there are elections coming up in the year of the 2025. Even though it's not as much of a national spotlight as in previous years where there's midterms or presidential elections. But 2 states do have statewide gubernatorial elections.
Border our state.
Yes.
Which makes it very relevant to us. So Virginia and New Jersey both have upcoming elections. In Virginia, they will be casting their votes for
Governor, Lieutenant Governor,
and Attorney General.
And AG.
Yes. There has been some controversy around the Attorney General's race because the Democratic candidate, some text messages had leaked where he made suggested violence against
a member
of the Republican Party. So again,
in a private text message, mind you,
private
with another lawmaker.
A lot of our private texts we would not want revealed. Because a lot of people say things in jest that they might not mean in private text. However, we can all admit that they were wrong.
Right.
And we shouldn't say those things. But, so of course, Republicans, being the opportunists that they are, they jump on this moment to say, like, oh, this is just another example of the radical left. We must condemn the radical left, blah, 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 blah. Let's just say that, and I'm proud because the Democrats in Virginia are not folding. They're like, listen.
Yeah.
I mean, like, if we're talking about violent text or violent messaging, violent rhetoric, like, your president has been the commander-in-chief when it comes to this sort of standard. So what we're not going to do...
Who said that they could shoot somebody?
He could shoot someone in the middle of Fifth Avenue and nothing would happen to him.
That was the president, right? Am I confused?
Yes. It was
misremembering something?
Nope,
okay.
Not at all. Not at all. So... with that being the standard, finally, Dems are like, you know what? We're not taking the high road. We're gonna stand 10 toes down, and
I would say that is the high road because checkmate, bitch. Like,
checkmate.
What do you? Just I feel like we all have things that we say in our private text messages that we don't want other people to see, especially not the government, maybe not even the people who live in our house. I'm not saying that as personal experience. I'm just saying words do not like equate to actual actions being performed.
Republicans were calling on the gubernatorial nominee to kind of condemn him, force him to step down. She's not. She is condemning his texts and the comments and the text messages, but it looks like she's not calling for him to step down or anything like that. He's remaining on the ticket.
Yeah.
And of course Republicans Republicans are saying she's not going far enough, yada, yada. So despite the text message scandal kind of shaking up the race of Virginia, recent polling has still shown that all the Democratic nominees are leading statewide.
Yeah.
So Abigail Spanberger in Virginia. So Abigail Spanberger still leads Winsome Earl Sears by 52% of the vote for governor. Zala Hashmi, she's leading in the lieutenant governor race by 48% of the vote. And Jay Jones is leading over Republican Jason Miyares with 49% of the vote for Attorney General. So,
and Winsome Earl Sears, who is the current lieutenant governor, who is a Black woman, and Jason Miyares at least, I don't know much about the Republican nominee for lieutenant governor, but between the two of them, they are they are aligned their campaigns very closely to the president. In New Jersey, you have Mickey Sherrill running, who is also a former member of Congress and I think an Air Force veteran, running for governor of New Jersey. And she is also running against a pretty staunchly aligned MAGA conservative as well. And it's New Jersey. It's more blue than Virginia. It could get dicey, in the summer,
and especially at the governor's race. And I was actually shocked. And one of my colleagues actually is from New Jersey, so she's very liberal. But we were both very surprised during the presidential election how long it took and I thought it was weird how long it took. How narrow the margin was. And New Jersey is a blue state, but it does get a little bit dicey sometimes, just like Maryland does sometimes at the gubernatorial level and in the rural areas. So this is definitely one to watch. And because these are the only two elections that happen after the presidential election, but before the midterms, that a lot of people look to these elections to see what these might predict for midterms.
Definitely.
So this will definitely be one to watch. Moving on to our Do Something segment, which is where we give you call to actions, the things that you can actually do, because sometimes you can feel a little helpless just listening to the news every day and feel like something you can do. But there's a lot in your power. And so you got to get out there and exercise your power and your influence, because we, the people, hold the power. We can't forget that, especially now.
It's still a democracy.
That's right. So first thing you can do, please check your voter registration status. There have been a lot of changes in various states to, requirements as far as proof of citizenship requirements, mail-in voting changes in various states. And there have also been voting rolls get purged in certain states. We heard about this a lot prior to the 2024 elections. So we want everyone who's listening to go just check your voter registration status, encourage your family and friends to check their voter registration status, and just make sure you're registered to vote. But then also check the ID requirements for your voting, for where you are supposed to vote, and make sure that you are prepared.
In addition to New Jersey and Virginia, we're talking about them as the races that the mainstream national news media is talking about, but also in 2025, there are a lot of local and municipal elections happening. And, there are websites that you could go to find out if there's elections happening in your area or that you're able to vote for. So Election Day is on November 4th. And I think you could either go to When We All Vote or the NAACP LDF website, but there may be something in your community that you can cast a vote on, and you just might not know about it at the moment, but you can still vote. There are things going on outside of New Jersey and Virginia. So,
and there are constantly, I don't know when I signed up for the alerts from Move On, but there are constantly efforts in various states across the country to either phone bank, mail-in efforts, in-person canvassing, text bank, all of those things, so that you can make a little bit of a big difference from wherever you are. Yeah. So it doesn't.
And you don't have to pick a candidate. Some of them are just the nonpartisan organizations just want to encourage people to vote. Not necessarily for a specific candidate. Just get out there.
Please exercise your right to vote.
Especially in these off year elections where there's not a presidential candidate on the ticket, the voting population goes down significantly. But, just because there's not a lot of talk about it does not mean that it's not significant, and it does not mean that it's not going to affect your life and your community in a significant way. Some of those elections could be for city council or mayor or school board or judicial elections, all types of things that are going to impact the community at a very micro level. They could be on the ballot where you live. So go and check it out.
Yeah. The last thing I was going to say is for anyone who is planning to participate in any protests, the ACLU has been hosting a Know Your Rights Before You Hit the Streets kind of virtual training to just go over your rights when protesting, protest safety and de-escalation training. There is I believe it's No Kings on October 18th. It's supposed to be expected to be a huge protest coming up. So just stay tuned to, things like the ACLU. They're hosting trainings and things like that, so that if you do choose to exercise your right to protest in the street, that you are
constitutionally protected. Literally the first thing in the Constitution. The First Amendment.
So, yeah. So there's plenty that we can do.
Thank you to the ACLU for keeping us informed and allowing us to be engaged. So yeah, well, that about sums it up for this week. My glass is empty, so I guess we should wrap it up.
Right. Every week we try to narrow it down, but baby, it's a lot going on.
So, all right. Well, we'll see you next week.
The sounds of a good drink.
Oh my gosh. Our little sippy cup. The alcoholic sippy cup. Cheers.
Grab a drink, pull up a chair. Grab a drink. Since the political board up. Cause we gonna need a drink for this.